Hello, this is Dr. Ford. This presentation will provide you with information on correctly formatting citations in text that meet APA 7 requirements. Why do we have in-text citation? First of all, we acknowledge our sources so that we avoid plagiarism. We support our arguments with credible evidence and then connect our ideas to scholarly conversations. So his basic format for an in-text citation. So you should have the author and the year. Example, if this is at the end of a sentence, you place your author's last name, the year, and the period. Do not place the period at the end of the sentence. It always goes after the end of the citation. However, if you're using it in narrative, Smith, and you list the author's name, the year, argue, states, however you want to word it. But this is how you do it if you are starting it with a sentence and acknowledging the author. What if we have multiple authors? Well, we use again, you always use the last names, no first initials. So you put an ampersand in between if you have two or more. Or two authors. If you have three or more authors, you always, in APA 6, you would normally list the author's names in the first citation, then follow with et al. However, in APA 7, that changed, where you use et al. For the very first citation and then subsequently. So again, here's some examples where if you put them in narrative format. If you have ended the sentence and you're not directly quoting, meaning you paraphrased, you put them at the end of the sentence. And then again, always make sure your punctuation falls after the citation. Well, what if I have multiple citations in a sentence? You follow the same format, except that you put them all in parentheses and then separate them with a semicolon. What if I am taking it direct quote? Now, one thing I want to say about direct quotes, you should avoid direct quotes and paraphrase as much as possible, unless if your paraphrase distorts or doesn't provide the support or the meaning of the citation. So if you have the author, year, and the page number, you need to direct your audience or your readers to where you grabbed the citation from. So paraphrasing versus quoting. So if you've paraphrased, you don't need a page number. However, if you have direct quotes, you need a page or a paragraph number. There are times when you have some articles or books or other sources where you don't have a page number. A lot of times online articles will not have a page number. So you should provide a paragraph. Always remember to put your direct quote in parentheses and then again put your period at the end of the citation. If you have no author, you use the title. If there's no date, use ND. So what if I have a quote that's over 40 words? Well, this is different. You do not put it in line like you would a quote that's under 40 words. So you start the block quote on a new line like I've done here. You indent it. You do not put it in quotes. This is where punctuation differs. Notice here that I have Leon Gonzalez and then the year, and then this is my direct quote, period, and then my page number. So that's the difference between a quote that's over 40 words and a quote that is not. It's the punctuation is placed differently. So, what are my final tips? Make sure that for every reference you have a citation. You use et al. For the first citation for group authors. Double check your punctuation and formatting. So here's some examples with mixed citations. Notice this one is paraphrased and this is a direct quote. And then again, here's another example of where I have mixed in quotes for my period, um, my content. I hope this helps. Good luck with APA.